Hey, y'all. MJ, the link is in the chat. The link is in the chat. So, the first thing we're going to go over with this conversation of community Peen. Hey, MJ, how you doing, love?
Hey Moonflower, how you doing, sis?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing lovely. It's January 1st.
Yes, it's January 1st, and it's time to spread some awareness about this community Peen.
Oh yes, because we in 2022, nigga extension.
Right. It's time to leave these nakers alone. Hey, Tequila, how you doing, love? Okay, so as I said, we were going to talk about Tristan Dirty Dick Thompson. So as we all may know, Tristan Thompson has once again cheated on Khloe Kardashian with a personal trainer from Texas. She is pregnant. She had her baby on December the 1st, and she's suing him for child support and other things as well. And within the case or whatever, Tristan accused the woman of having herpes
Oh
and
wow.
said, yeah, and said that's why she had to have a C-section or whatever because she had herpes. So Khloe came out and she said that she was disgusted that he would put her health at jeopardy, but she says that she is fine or whatever. But I mean, even if she did have herpes, I don't believe that she would come out and say it. I believe she would lie. So I mean,
Yeah, and then on top of that, like with herpes, it's all based on flare-ups, right? So
right,
depending on when you can get it is when somebody is in a flare-up state. So you
mm-hmm.
might not see the symptoms now, but that doesn't mean you ain't gonna see them symptoms a month and a half later. I'm just saying.
Right, or even 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so she said she was disgusted that he would put her health in jeopardy. And she's saying that she's going to leave him alone for good now. I don't really believe that's true. I think she's going to keep going back to him because obviously Khloe Kardashian has an issue with being alone.
She has insecurity problems. I mean, like, just think about it. Her family did not help her with her self-esteem when all they had was showered that Kim Kardashian and Courtney are the beauties, and she was quote unquote a man, and she was quote unquote the product of a black man or a biracial man. Like, they have not done anything to help this girl's insecurity, her or Rob, the brother, and that's
Right.
why they've been acting out the way that they've been acting out.
Yep. And she was always seen as the ugly sister.
Right. So just think about it. That type of insecurity of her being the ugly sister, all the plastic surgeries and procedures that she had done to make herself seem that she's beautiful or she's quote unquote the standard of beauty per se, right? And and
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think she will. No, no, absolutely not. I think that she will always go after someone who she feels that's going to elevate her because she's been named the little redheaded stepchild in her family.
Correct. Correct. So before we get deep in this conversation, what I have on the screen is the United States STD rates by race of 2020. And so this top chart here is all cases. So that includes men, women, all races. And so the number of chlamydia is at 44,833%, or that's the number of people that have chlamydia. You have gonorrhea at 23,414, primary and secondary syphilis at 783, and then you have all syphilis strands at 2019. So when we come down here to the male cases, right? And it separates by race or Hispanic ancestry. You have chlamydia, gonorrhea, primary and secondary syphilis, and then all strands of syphilis. So first, we have white men who are at 3,415 for gonorrhea, 1,901. I mean, the 3,000 was for chlamydia. The gonorrhea is 1,901. Primary and secondary syphilis is 209, while all syphilis is at 529. So let's just compare contrast between white men and black men. So we have black men at 6,991 for chlamydia. We have gonorrhea for 7,303. Primary and secondary syphilis is 401, and all syphilis is 890. Black men currently lead in the STD rates in America. They are currently leading. So now that we've gone over the chart, we're going to go on to this next study that is going to relate. It study shows that black men cheat more than any other race. I did go over this in my debate with T-Duck, but we're going to go over it again. From a new article, it says a new study claims black men cheat more than any other race and claims to have data to prove it. In addition to gender and age, the study shows that the infidelity rate changes based on the number of other demographic and social factors. The study claims to find that cheating is somewhat more common among Black adults. Some 22% of ever married Blacks said they cheated on their spouses, compared to the 6% of whites and 13% of Hispanic. And among black men, the rate is highest. 28% reported they had sex with someone else other than their spouses, compared to the 20% of white men and 16% of Hispanic men. In general, men are more likely to cheat than women. 20% of men cheat, and only 13 of women reported that they've had sex with someone other than their spouse while married, according to the data from the recent General Social Survey.
Now, isn't this
So,
another way? Isn't it? I'm sorry, Moon, but isn't this like another way to say that the stats are the stats and the stats are the facts? Because if they love to use the statistics and say that that is not that doesn't speak as the majority, or that is going on, or it doesn't really track the trends. But if it's saying that you, being the 6% of the US population, has the more STDs, or carrying the most STDs, what is that?
exactly, and it's not including the ones that go unreported, that like it's kind of like anonymous or whatnot, and it does not include the prison rates, because the prison facilities have very high HIV rates, very high chlamydia and gonorrhea rates, very high syphilis rates, and very high herpes rates, because they're all in there fucking each other. They don't take showers on a regular basis. They don't get their health checked on a regular basis and things of that nature. So when these men come out of jail, they come out and the first thing they want to do is have sex with a woman, and now they're spreading all of those diseases that they got within the jail, outside of the jail, to the people out here.
Yeah, that's just disgusting.
Right. And so here you have, with the percentage of cheating, white being at 16, black being at 22. And then, as we already know, black men cheat at a 28%, while black women cheat at a 13%. So black men do make up the majority of the cheating population within the US, but also within the black community. So that's something we need to take in mind as well. So they do connect. So if you have a group of men who have the highest rate of STDs, but they're also the highest rate of cheaters, then you know that, for one, they're spreading these diseases, and most black men don't even do regular checkup to the doctor. And that's another thing that we're going to go over. Why
Oh
do
man,
they
they don't even go
avoid
to the doctor. The only time they go to the doctor, if they break something, if something gets cut off,
or
or
they get shot?
they're almost damn near death. That's the only time men go to the doctor, especially black men. So
Hell yeah. And that's the issue. Like, most of these men, they choose not to go to the doctor. They out here fucking, and then they're just not getting checked, so they can have a STD going on 2 to 3 years, especially if you have one of those that the symptoms don't necessarily present right away, and they're just spreading it and spreading it and spreading it, and they don't go get like a checkup until one of the women that they're sleeping with says, "Oh, I have XYZ, you need to get checked out," blah 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 blah, and then they want to proceed to blame it on the woman who
of
did her
course.
part and told her and told him.
Mhm.
So this is just really uh sad for the women who choose to continue to deal with these men, because one, you're putting your health in jeopardy when you are even, talking to them, simply because they have such an entitlement against women or in our bodies. And so they take it as far as enough to like kill us, harm us for rejecting them. But even if you don't reject them, you accept their number, you go on dates with them or whatnot, they also are spreading these diseases and will blame you if you catch it from him.
I know. Like, I think I seen a video maybe about 2 months ago, and there was this white girl, right? And this white girl, she did a big post on IG or yeah, one of those social media platforms. And she was pretty much letting everybody know that she had like gonorrhea, she had many different STIs and stuff like that. And she was like, "Oh, I got it from the guys that I was dealing with." Now, this white girl was, you look at her and she just looked like she's a wannabe hood girl. So the most of the guys that she was dealing with were black, and she just let it be known, aired out. Tell me why, like, the next video that I seen of her was her being jumped by black women because those black men that she dealt with went and got these black women to jump her. And they blamed her, saying, "No, I don't got that. I don't got that. What the F you mean? If you had all that stuff, why you didn't tell me when we was da 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 da?" And they beat her up. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Who forced you to have sex with that girl? And who forced you to have sex with that girl unprotected? If you quote unquote now you want to blame it and say that it's her and not you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, where is your accountability, sir?
But the thing about it is, where did she get it from? And
Yeah.
we will be going into that as well, because when we have sexual intercourse, right, it's easier to catch STDs, STIs from vaginal intercourse. So that shows that men are the ones who have and distribute these STDs to women at such a high rate.
Right. Right. If they love to talk about them being the seed, and we carry the seed, y'all carry the seed of STD.
And that's the only seed that they carry. That's the only seed that they carry. So we're going to get into, why do black men avoid regular doctor's visits? This was made in October 12th of 2018, so a couple of years ago. And it starts off saying that black men avoid regular doctor visits at rates way higher than black women and the rest of society. The reasons why vary. A California study recently found black men don't trust white and Asian doctors as much as they trust black doctors. So this study looked at black patients, and they felt more comfortable with black doctors, and that led to better compliance with preventable care. As you know, black men, as far as a demographic, have the lowest life expectancy of all patients. They suffer from some of the most preventable diseases, says Holy Name Medical Center's Dr. Clinton Coleman. Black men between the ages of 45 and 54 die by stroke at the rate 3 times higher than their white counterparts. Black men's prostate cancer risk is 74% higher than non-Hispanic white men. In general, 2 out of 5 black men have high blood pressure that starts at a younger age than the rest of the population. There's systemic problems like systemic racism, a historical context in which patients mistrust the system. That there have been glaring extreme examples are the Tuskegee experiment, gynecological surgeries on non-consenting women without anesthesia, Coleman said. Holy Dame Medical and the new Beta Beta chapter of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity have partnered to offer free health for a free health fair Saturday at the hospital to reduce disparities through detection and education. So basically, this entire article is just talking about the reasons why black men don't go to the doctor and things of that nature. However, seeing that black men and black women went through the exact same things of like slavery, Jim Crow, and if not worse for black women with the whole non-consenting gynecological work on them without the anesthesia, it's still, a question of, why are they taking the personal choice to not go and participate in the betterment of their health, while as their black counterparts, being black women, do.
I think the main reason why is because men have this thing. Well, a lot of men, I would say, a lot of men have this thing that they're God and they know everything, and everything's going to be fine and everything's going to be all right. So nobody else know what they're talking about, but they do, right? And they like, oh, I don't need to go see a doctor. No, I'm good. Like I don't got nothing. I don't got no marks and certain little spots and stuff everywhere. I'm fine. I'm not a leopard. I don't have those diseases, right? And they think everything is well. And then they're like, oh, and then they'll have this kind of, bad masculinity where they be like, oh, if I go to the doctor or to go check up on myself, either than me bleeding to death or being shot or having a limb broken and stuff like that, then I'm weak and I just need to just man up and take it. So they'll just sit there and suffer in silent, to put on this facade of them being strong, but all they're doing is just hurting themselves at the end and then hurting others in the process.
Yep, that is absolutely right. That is absolutely right. And there is no reason, honestly, why in this day and age that black men are continuously choosing to not go to the doctor. Like there are so many diseases that affect black people at a higher rate than others simply because of our diets and whatnot, that you would need that type of medical attention. And then let's say they do go to the doctor. A lot of times they don't listen. My granddad goes to his doctor. He got gout. He got high blood pressure, diabetes type 2, and, risk for a stroke and heart attack. He's had a stroke before. And when he goes to his doctor, he just goes to say he goes because he doesn't listen to any of the advice. He keeps eating the things that he's not supposed to eating. And as far as, my grandma she changes what she cooks to accommodate him. However, he'll complain about it and then go out and go get a burger, knowing that it's going to aggravate his gout and he's going to be in pain. And then now he's complaining, he's a victim, he's sad, he's in pain. Well, maybe you should do what your doctor is telling you to do. And as they said, a lot of these diseases are very much so preventable, like diabetes type 2, very much so preventable. Now, if you have type 1 diabetes, that's a different case because you're born with that. But type 2 is preventable. You have to cut out certain things from your diet in order to make sure that you are healthy. And
I
go
just
ahead.
think that no, I just think that just most of these guys are just victims of their own mental cages, and they just need to get a grip. Like seriously, like you got to be a little bit more mentally strong to do what's best for you. And they always crying a lot of victimhood, but the true victim is that your mind or your body is a victim of your mindset. And they just gotta just do better.
Okay, and this right here is what I was talking about earlier. It says after just one episode of sex with an infected partner, a female has a 60 to 90% chance of being infected by a male, while a man's risk of being infected by a female is only 20%. So that shows that men in general carry the bulk of the diseases, sexually transmitted diseases, and they transmit it very, very easily to other women. So we correlate that to the rates of cheating within black men, the rates of the STD rate within black men, and we see who is really spreading all of this to other people. So when we talk about community ping, it's not just about our physical health with sexually transmitted diseases, but it's also about our physical health when it comes to simply living your life, because a lot of these community ping men who cheat on their spouses and stuff, they go and they kill their girlfriends, their spouses, their children whenever the woman tries to leave, whenever there is a simple disagreement that doesn't warrant that type of reaction. And so we have to be cognizant of all of these things that are affecting us as black women, especially since it affects us at a higher rate than women of no color and women of limited color.
Yes, it's definitely a trickle down effect. I mean, like I say, my personal opinion is, if you can't if you're not treating yourself good, then anything around you is not going to be treated well either. If you're not giving 110% for yourself with your health, your wealth, your mentality, and your spirit, then all that is going to do is just leech on to anybody that's close to you.
Exactly. Exactly. So now we're gonna transition and from the sexual health, but into like our physical health, our being able to live. Okay. Okay. So this story is kind of old because I do remember seeing it on Fatal Attraction, but here it is: murder by Memphis police officer to be featured on TV1's Fatal Attraction. So this is the officer here whose story was on Fatal Attraction. His name is Chancey Jones. This happened in 2015. So Chancey Jones, in September of 2000, well, it happened in 2008. In September of 2008, former police officer Chancey Jones fatally shot his mistress. Not his wife, not his girlfriend, but yes, his girlfriend, but not his wife, his mistress, Phyllis Malone, at an East Memphis gas station. Jones was convicted of second-degree murder for the crime and sentenced to 24 years in prison without parole. Several years after the occurrence, Jones and Malone's fatal fling will be profiled in an upcoming episode of TV1's docuseries Fatal Attraction, entitled Law and Murder. So if anybody wants to watch that episode, the name of the episode is Law and Murder. It aired on Monday, January 12th at 10 p.m. So at the time of the murder, Jones had been with the Memphis Police Department for 3 years. According to multiple reports, the fling between him and Malone lasted several weeks before she informed him that she was pregnant. So this correlates to how in 2021, the highest killer of pregnant Black women is homicide. And so things have not changed, things have not gone down, but they have increased since then. And this happened in 2008. So she also allegedly threatened to tell his wife of their love affair. On the night of September 8th, 2008, Jones met with Malone at a Shell gas station on Whitten Road, close to Interstate 40. I know exactly where that is. And the two reportedly got into a heated argument over Malone's alleged pregnancy and Jones' desire for her to get an abortion. So Black men always talk about how Black women are getting all these abortions and how we're killing all these babies. However, when Black women choose to not get an abortion, we proceed to get abused, attacked, and drilled. So when we have this conversation about abortion, right, we also have to understand that majority of Black women who do get pregnant do not get an abortion. Majority of Black women decide they want to keep the child, whether or not the man is there, they'll figure it out on their own. And so she wanted him to be in her child's life, and because of it, he drilled her. So according to reports, Jones told investigators when Malone said bye Chancey and began to leave, he shot her at point blank range 3 times. However, in court, he said he shot her out of fear she was going to run him over. So he's lying. So he is a police officer, a Black police officer who shot somebody and decided he was going to try to take the normal white police officer route and say, well, I was afraid for my life, when that simply was not the case. So we're seeing how this white male patriarchy is trickling over into a Black male patriarchy that oppresses Black women, which is what Domo and I talked about in our last debates as well. And I talked about it in a couple streams ago. So before we continue, any questions, concerns, comments?
Yeah, I mean, like, this is what it is. This is the norm, like pregnant mothers are a huge threat, especially within our community. I have never seen one court filing from any man who was potentially about to be a father going to take his supposedly pregnant girlfriend or whatever not to the court to fight for this unbirthing of this the child. So I just like think that the whole situation is a gaslighting. There's been many situations that we can look at, even how movies basically reacts what's going on in reality. There's been many movies that where there was a situation where the woman or the girlfriend gets pregnant and the guy did not want the baby, and the first thing he would do is talk about abortion, talk about he'll get up some money to handle it, take care of it, driving her to these clinics or special places or whatever. Not, we have so much proof in history about how far these men will go when they don't want to have the burden of raising children. But to, to bring this abortion situation and put it on the women, that they're just aborting children left and right, like, consistently, and not giving a fair share or a fair talk with the significant other, is just bull crap. It's just gaslighting that they don't really care. They don't care at all. I need to see a court document of a man fighting for the birth of his child from a woman before I even take anyone seriously.
Facts. But so the ending of this article just states that Malone was found slumped over in her front seat, lifeless the next morning. Jones reported to shift duty that same day. While on duty, he was questioned by investigators about the homicide. He eventually admitting to drilling Malone and was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. An autopsy would later reveal that Malone was actually not pregnant. So in this case, more than likely, she probably missed her period or was late on her period. Assumed that she was pregnant, was letting him know that she was getting ready to go to the doctor's office to confirm. So it's really like, what is this? What is this all for? You did this all for what? The woman wasn't even pregnant. So it's just crazy.
It did it because he was more fearful. Like, he saw his life flashing before his eyes, right? If this woman was pregnant, right? Let's like, now we know that she wasn't pregnant, but let's say she really was pregnant. Not only he knows that he's no longer going to be with her, so that's child support. B, he knows that his
Mm-hmm.
wife, now finding out he's not going to no longer want to be with her, be with him, and there, guess what? That's going to be child support, especially if they have children. So all in the whole process, he was just thinking about him not having two women that he wants, him having to pay child support for two different households, and he just flipped out. He just lost all control. So he felt that to eliminate the situation and just keep the one that he put the ring on, and get rid of the one that he wanted to pump and dump, and kill two birds with one stone. I'm gonna take her and the baby out, and then hopefully me being a police officer and having that sort of authority, and I will be able to get away with it, because many police officers do get away with killing their significant others and spouses, and especially with abuse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And he used that same, white officer ideology. And, that is repressive and oppressive of Black women's, one, physical health, but also their sexual prowess.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but it's a sense of control, like, when you don't think of someone having the option to have control of their body, you don't even think of them as being a human being. So for the simple
fact,
fact is, he just thought that, she was just there for him to have a good time with, and when it's not fun anymore, it needs to stop.
exactly. And what Domo said that in his debate that, Black men are seeing Black women as property the same way that the slave master saw his slaves. But so this next story happened on it was reported in June 17th of 2016. Louisiana assistant principal accused of killing pregnant co-worker after she allegedly threatened to tell his wife about an affair. So same type of story, same type of deal. So, a Baton Rouge assistant principal is accused of drilling a pregnant coworker by shooting her in the head after she allegedly threatened to tell his wife about their affair. The body of 40-year-old Lintel Washington was found in a roadside ditch in nearby Iberville Parish on Tuesday, 8 days after she disappeared. Robert Marks, in custody since she vanished, was hit with first-degree murder and first-degree feticide. So that is the murder of a fetus, basically. Charges on Friday after initially being held for kidnapping. So this is the nice, lovely lady here. This is her picture she took, for the school system. And she's a very beautiful young lady. and her life was taken from her because of a man who felt so entitled to her body because she was pregnant.
I
So
think this.
Mark's,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I think this is a good lesson for women, who even think about dealing with somebody who, quote unquote, is in a relationship or is married or, quote unquote, in the process of being divorced. I think this is a really good thing. Maybe you want to think twice.
Facts,
Maybe
because you're
want to,
throwing.
maybe want to think twice. Even if you have a inkling that this person could be dealing with somebody else, I think you want to just let them handle that first before you even start to even go down, even speaking anything in regards to them or anything on that level, because it's just scary. Like, you don't know what someone's mindset is, and like I said, these women were of no value to these people. Like, a lot of people say that the one that the guy, quote unquote, likes the most or love the most is the one that he cheated on, not the one that he cheated with, not the one that he cheated on, right? And I I think it's a lie. I really do.
Right, these men don't love nobody. Period. Don't let these empty words and empty promises lead you on. They don't care about anybody. The only thing they care about is themselves. So much so that they will throw their lives away to spend the rest of their lives in prison to take you out.
Well, they think that, number one, especially because in these situations, these women are black or definitely women of color. Number one, they don't have that. They don't have the mindset of having value of women of color or black women. I should say definitely black women. They don't value black women. So for them to not value black women because they're looking on the society standpoint. If society saying that black women are not on the higher level of the poll, then why should they think that too? They're gonna think the exact same way. Well, nobody cares about this woman. Even society don't care about this woman. So I should be able to get away with it.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's where this conversation of protection of black women comes in, because of the fact that black women lack protection, these things continue to happen. However, if we were to make these men feel uncomfortable in the community, the instances wouldn't necessarily cease to exist, but the rate would go down.
Right. But the only problem is that it has to take men to make men feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Women say we could say everything till we blue in the face. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care. It's not going to get through to these men because these men don't think that you don't even have your opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why everything is considered that you're nagging. You're nagging. You're starting conflict. You just want to argue. Blah blah blah. That's how it's perceived when we express ourselves. They have to have other men make them uncomfortable. It's just like, being in a pep rally or being on a football team. A football guy can have a goof troop who's on the team, and everybody gets on him like, yo, why you acting like that? Why you being a weirdo? Like, chill out. And that's the only way that dude will chill out is when all the
Mm-hmm.
other men say, stop being like that. You're being weird.
Facts. Facts. So Mark's 39 is an assistant principal at Brookstown Magnet Honors Academy, where Washington, a former teacher of the year, served as an instructional specialist. Marks has been placed on administrative leave. A colleague told Baton Rouge police that Washington was pregnant with Mark's child and had threatened to expose the relationship. Marks knew Washington was 5 months pregnant, according to the police report. Washington asks Marks in one text message if he is attempting to avoid his responsibilities with our unborn daughter, quote unquote. According to the screenshots recovered by police. Marks was arrested on June 9th after Washington's 3-year-old daughter was found alone near her mother's car. So this here is Washington, the assistant principal who took this lady from her family. So Marks has been charged with the in the murder of pregnant colleague. Okay. Little girl told detectives that Mr. Robbie had hurt her mother. The child also said that she heard a bang and saw her mom shaking, quote unquote. So this man took this woman out in front of her child, in front of her 3-year-old, and has traumatized this little girl for the rest of her life. Further, she stated that Mr. Robbie was trying to clean the blood and that her mother was in the lake, quote unquote, according to the police report. So this little girl is basically very, very involved in this case because he chose to take her out in front of the child and for the child to believe that she was in a lake, that to believe that her mother was in a lake. He obviously said something to her before she left, or he took them on the ride to go drop her off because it said that the young girl was found near the mother's car. So
That's
Mark, what you
insane.
said?
No, I was just saying that's insane. Very disturbing.
Yes. And so now we have another young black girl who is traumatized. And, these black men are, asking, why are these women divesting? Well, it's situations like this. I will, make an educated assumption that this black girl here is now put off by black men in general because she watched one take her mother from her at 3 years old. This girl would be traumatized. And I hope they were giving her all the resources she needed for therapy. But Marks told the authorities he last saw Washington at a Walmart at about 8 p.m. on June 8th. However, cell phone records showed that their phones traveled to the Iberville parish later that night before returning to the area where Washington's car was found. So this dummy took her phone, in the car with him when he went to go drop her body off in the ditch and then left the phone inside of the car where he dropped off the car. So Mark admitted to his relationship with Washington, but refused to answer other questions from detectives. We continue to press him for information, but still no answer and still no emotion. This is a heinous and senseless crime. So we have this young lady taken from her child. We have this traumatized child. We have a family mourning their daughter, their auntie, their sister, all because a man wanted to not face his responsibilities of getting someone other than his wife pregnant.
And not even that. Like, think about his family too. Like, he destroyed his whole family. You know what I'm saying? Like, now his wife is gonna have to live with the fact that she married a murderer, right? And
Mm-hmm.
not on to forget about him just being an infidel. He's a damn murderer. And then his kids, if he has kids with that wife, like, you destroyed two families in one stone, B.
Yep. Yep. And she will always be remembered as the police officer's wife who took out his mistress. And that's not something that any person wants to be remembered for. You don't want to be remembered for the mistakes of your spouse or your parents when you have parents who are drillers out here.
Right. So there goes that choose better situation. I wonder if anybody gonna tell that wife you should have chose wisely now.
Right, because at the end of the day, he would be what people consider an educated lame. He got a good job. He worked at a school, supposedly gives back to the community because he works with kids. So when we talk about choosing better, if we honestly were to choose better, black men just wouldn't be on the chopping block at all. So our next case is a former North Chicago cop gets a 95-year sentence on a murder conviction. This was reported on August 10th in 2014. Okay, so a man who once worked for the North Chicago Police Department and his son, both convicted of killing the elder man's girlfriend in 2011, have been sentenced to a combined 145 years in prison. David Beckham Sr., 42, and David Beckham Jr., 23, were convicted in May on first-degree murder in the death of Chevron Alexander, 29, of Chicago, who was fatally shot while sitting in a car in River Forest on July 11, 2011. According to the Cook County State's Attorney Office, Bickham Jr. was sentenced to 95 years in prison last week, while his son was sentenced to 50 years last month, according to the statement from prosecutors. So this Dusty has not only ruined his life, but ruined his son's life, convinced his son into assisting with the drill of a young lady. So as we can see, these men, one, don't care about anybody else, especially their own children. They have such a disdain for their own children that they are willing to completely mess up their child's life. They do not love their children. They do not love these women. And I mean, this is sickening, very sickening. It reminds me of that movie based on the Stephen King book. What is it, 1987, where the little white dude convinced his son into drilling his wife
Yeah.
because she wanted to move to the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this thing is just whole sickening. Like, that's disgusting. Like, it's funny, how you can ask for, fathers to be parents to their son, but is this what's gonna happen when you have father and son relationships? Those close bondings. This is what you're teaching them. You teaching them to, drill women when now it's no longer fun anymore and responsibilities are supposed to take place. Now it's like, let's find a way to get rid of them. It's kind of crazy. That wow.
Yep. And then at the time, there was a third man charged in the murder, Cardell Taylor, 38, who was currently at that time awaiting trial. So he was the getaway driver for this situation. So the elder Bickham, a former North Chicago police officer, was involved in a romantic relationship with Alexander, who began pressuring him to leave his estranged wife. Keyword estranged wife. So his wife and he and his wife are like no longer together, and they are separated but still legally married. And his mistress wanted him to marry her, prosecutors said. To avoid being found out, he reportedly devised a plan to have his son and Taylor carry out the murder. So this was premeditated. He thought about this long and hard. He got a getaway driver. He got assistance, and so he really thought about this very hard, so he needs to be locked up. On the night of July 11th, 2011, Bickham Sr. drove Alexander to Dominican Prairie Park in River Forest and parked the vehicle. Prosecutors said about 10:20 p.m. According to the prosecutors, Taylor arrived and fired several shots into the passenger side of the car, striking Alexander in the head, chest, and shoulder. Taylor drove off after the shooting in a car with Bickham Jr. As the getaway driver, prosecutors said, police said that the elder Bickham was the first person to call 911, reportedly to cover his involvement in the crime. So basically, he was trying to make it look like a drive-by. He was trying to make it look like some strangers just rolled up to them and shot at the car. And he was just trying to cover his ass. So both Taylor and Bickham Jr. were arrested. Please stop asking me to do this. But they were arrested by Forest Park police within a mile of the crime scene. Prosecutors at the same time, uh, that after they were stopped, Taylor said, "I want the rest of my money now." So basically, he really just spilled the beans. He let the police know that he was a hitman. A 38 caliber handgun was found in the car, and several witnesses identified the vehicle as being at the crime scene. North Chicago police said the older Bickham had worked for the department more than a decade earlier for only a short time. So I don't think this article from the Chicago Tribune has their pictures, but if you Google their names, their pictures do come up in Google.
I'm speechless. I'm just so speechless. It's like, it's just so sickening. Like, I truly believe that when it comes down to men drilling women, especially situations like that, they be thinking about that for a very, very long time, because it seems like most of the time, when you actually read the story of what happened, like, they was sitting on that thought for a minute, and they go through great lengths to try to have this whole cover up scheme and this whole escape scheme and stuff like that. Like, not like how, like, the new recent story we heard about that uh RN or nurse doctor drilling
Mm-hmm.
his ex-wife, and what's the name, like, that was kind of
The
random because
girlfriend and all that.
yeah, because he went and he took himself out in that process too. But I really do
Right.
believe, like, most of the time that these guys who really have it in their mind to be drilling their significant others, they be thinking about it for a good quite some time, maybe 5 months, 6 months, maybe a whole year and a half in advance.
Right. And that is what is really disgusting about it. It's not like it's a crime of passion or anything like that. You are sitting here premeditating. You are involving other people into your crime. Go as far as to involve your own children into your crime, and you still get caught. They think they are so smart, and they still get caught. You have witnesses identifying your car, your vehicle at the
Not even
scene.
that. Like, how you not trying to get out the state though? Like, seriously, like you, how you gonna just be like a mile away and think that's good enough? That's just like that's so silly. Like maybe I don't know. Maybe you wanted to get caught. If you ask me,
Yo, CS, this conversation is not about hurting people, bro. We all know that cliche term or whatever, that cliche phrase. However, this conversation is about these men who make the conscious decision to drill other people because it is convenient for them. This man is not hurt. These men are not hurt. They're drilling these women to get away from child support, to get away from having to raise children, to get away from having their infidelities said aloud to the for the whole world and their wives to know. So this isn't about hurting people. This is about a matter of mere convenience.
how about hurt people stop getting into relationships if you hurt? How about that?
Thank you. Take your ass to therapy. The murderous route Richmond Phillips took to avoid paying child support. So, in May of 2011, Richmond Phillips and Juanetta Wright were scheduled to appear in family court to establish paternity, custody, and child support for their 11-month-old daughter, Jalen. As reported by True Crime Daily, Richmond, who was a Washington, D.C. police officer, once again another officer, arrived for the hearing at the scheduled time. However, Juanetta never called or showed up for court. Juanetta's mother Yvette was specifically concerned because her daughter initiated the court and was looking forward to settling the matter. She was also worried because her daughter left the house with Jalen and she had not heard from her for several hours. Yvette continued trying to contact her daughter and was eventually forced to call the police and report her missing. True Crime Daily reports authorities found Juanetta's SUV in the parking lot of a local community center 5 days after she was reported missing. Although the single mother was not inside the vehicle, they found Jalen's lifeless body strapped to her car seat. The grisly discovery prompted an extensive search of the woods surrounding the parking lot. So not only did he take out this woman, but in the process he took out his own daughter. That's why we say once again we do not need to be gifting these degenerate males with the gift of daughters. They definitely do not care. In these other cases, they convince their sons to be degenerate with them, but when it comes to these daughters, they decide to take out these young girls as well. So, hours later, Renetta White's body was found in the woods. It was later determined that she was shot to death. Richmond Phillips, who was married to another woman, was immediately identified as a suspect in the deaths of Juanetta and Jalen due to the nature of their relationship and the pending child support hearing. So this is what happened to the young lady and her daughter. According to CBS 13, authorities confirmed that Richmond Phillips contacted Juanetta Wright on the evening before their scheduled court appearance and asked her to meet him at a local park. Prosecutor Angela also Brooks said he was either going to talk her out of that paternity suit or he was going to kill her. So because she wasn't going to be talked out of the suit, he decided to drill her. In the
Yep.
course of the which said
No, I was just saying. Yep. I mean, those were the only reasons why. I mean, it was like one dash of you're gonna do what I tell you to do, or I'm gonna take you out.
right. So authorities obtained surveillance footage from the Oxen Run Stream Valley Park, which confirmed Richmond, Winetta, and Jalen were all in the park on the evening before the hearing. They also confirmed with cell phone records and DNA evidence collected at the scene. Prosecutors believe that Richmond Phillips shot and drilled Winetta Wright at the park and dragged her body into the woods. He then drove Wright's SUV to a parking lot and abandoned the vehicle with his 11-month-old daughter still trapped inside her car seat. Like the least you could have done was taking the little girl to a fire department, a fire station, or something, so she would be safe. But no, he said we're just gonna let her, cook in the car, never be found, die of starvation and dehydration. So this is just very, very sick. They're taking out their children. But Phillips was ultimately charged with and convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder, possession of a weapon, and child abuse. He was given a life sentence plus 20 years without the possibility of parole. Following the sentencing, Wavette, which is Juaneta's mother, simply said simply that Juaneta did not have a chance. However, she wishes they had found the SUV sooner because Jalen could have been saved. And she's right. Had they found the SUV maybe within 24 hours, the little girl could probably still be alive. So
Well, that definitely beats out the whole excuse of I just want to be with my kid. I just want my kid and the money. I don't want the money to be that woman to be messing with and dealing with my money and none of that going to my kid. He didn't give a damn about that girl. He left that girl there to die. That's your blood. That's your bloodline that you left out there to die while
mm-hmm.
you was in the process of killing her mother. So what was the point? You didn't want the child support because you didn't feel that you was responsible, or you didn't feel that you was required to take care of that child or even have any parts of that woman anymore. So you felt that cutting all ties was, let me go kill that woman, and I don't have no real fatherly connection to that little girl. I don't even want to, I don't even want to provide for her. So she could just stay out there in the woods and starve. Like, that's sickening.
Thank you. You could at least, gave the girl up for adoption or something. That way you don't have to provide for her, relinquish your rights and let her go somewhere else. Hey Tanjon, how are you doing, ma'am? Welcome to the
Hey, sister. Um, I want to say this real quick. I'm not going to be on long because, I'll be moving on. But I love the panel. I love the discussion because it brings everything to light of what's been saying. But I do want to say this, as a mother, as an experienced um, domestic violence survivor. Um, these men don't give a hell about black women having any kids, whether it's a little girl or a boy. They don't care. What they want to do is show off for their little male friends, and hop back and forth to different baby mamas and all the stuff. But when it comes to another one that he got pregnant on purpose, he, my son, hey, he's got a twin. So he went and told the courts that this ain't his son. Told his mama this ain't his son. He don't want nothing to do with him. And I'm just trying to mess up what he got with an Asian broad, okay? And even before then, he was trying to get me trapped so I can lose this baby. All right? He was trying to make me lose this baby as best ways he could. He didn't care. As soon as he found out it was a boy, he really wanted me dead. So, because let me tell you something. If them sons survive and they're raised right and they're told the truth, they know their sons may turn out to be their enemy. That's
Yep.
why you got a bunch of sons growing up talking about, I don't give a fuck about that old ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? My mama took care of me. You got some sons that's literally, you had a father who got shot at, and you had a bunch of men on YouTube talking about, this man trying to be a father to his son, and the father asked his son to respect him, and all of a sudden he pulled out a gun. This is how come uh, fathers don't want to be in the kid's life because of disrespect. Nah, F that. You know what I'm saying? You neglected your son, saw you disrespect the mama and everything, and 9 times out of 10, it's very rare you got degenerate ass Negroes growing up, knowing that they were raised by their mothers and aunties, and he still got excuses for a deadbeat ass daddy who didn't even want him. You see what I'm
Thank
saying?
you.
You're anti-mama, but you're pro deadbeat who didn't want you. But you got a bunch of other brothers, them sons growing up and saying one day I'm gonna get back at that old nigga. Watch. I hope he die. And you got some stories about that. You got some of these fathers that says the longer I wait to try to at least change his mind a little bit, like a coward he is, the more it's gonna be hard for him to convince his son, hey, dude, I was wrong. Hey, because you can't say your mama did anything to you. And that's what I think gonna happen with my son. I actually really think my son don't want is never gonna want nothing to do with his father. I think it's safer that I'm glad that I have full custody. He don't have no signature on the birth certificate. He can't get
Good.
no shared custody, no nothing. Good. Okay, my son's gonna be around some real men. He gonna be around some real sisters and brothers. I'm not gonna count on my son. That's what I'm not gonna do. He gonna have to learn a lot of things early. I don't care about nothing because at the end of the day, once he's learning that he had to take care of business and that mama wasn't playing that, everything else about his father is irrelevant. All right, there's nothing his father can do, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes, if those moms, and I'm gonna tell these moms, when you have sons, if you have a son already, all right, and you got a deadbeat ass father, I'm telling you right now, I have two aunties and three older cousins, they're like 2 generations older than me, who raised their sons and they didn't coddle a damn thing about them. They were single moms. And the men today, their sons today grew up to be productive as men. Okay, married and and there's something they don't want. There's something opposite of their father. That's the first thing they're gonna say. I'm everything my daddy ain't. So I'm everything that old man. And some of them don't even want to claim the daddy. So they trying to switch it around and make it where the mama won't let me see the kids, but they in the mama's face and I didn't want that little bastard. So you have to really look at it this way. It's in the best interest to understand as a mother, you can raise your son to be men, productive men. All this other stuff they talking about, they've never seen or experienced it or paid attention to it. But for me, growing up and seeing what the mothers were doing, when I thought they were being mean to their sons are productive real men. They're real men because they thank their mothers for not coddling them. They thank their mothers for socking up upside their damn chest whenever they start acting a fool, thinking they can just jump up and do something. Yeah, you got one of the moms that will box their asses if you think you can get out of line with me. I put food in your mouth, I take them motherfuckers out, nigga. Don't start. Them sons learn. My mama wasn't playing that. She was a team of her own. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no damn excuses. Now, I don't know about these other women that sit there and protect these niggas, these niggas, just for the sake to save face. You're gonna turn around and get your son turned on you. Your son's gonna
Right.
turn on you because that last story I heard, that woman was protecting that deadbeat nigga so much so until his own son get on the damn YouTube channel in front of Nyla and them and say, "Well, she took the welfare and my daddy tried." Yeah, your daddy tried to get you killed.
You talking about that one where
You
the
talking about that
women
one where
were
the
talking
women
about where
was
his
talking
dad
about
tried to
where
hit him
his
with a
dad
car?
tried to hit him with a car? Yes. Did you not hear? I heard some stuff in between that story. That woman was protective of the father who didn't
Yeah.
want to be in the life of the children.
Yep.
Okay.
And then on top
So
of that, he
who?
was
Yep.
so
And then
mad
on
at
top
his
of that, he
aunt
was
who
so
took
mad
care
at
of
his
him.
aunt who took care of him. Exactly. Yeah, you got people like my older cousin Yolanda and them told his son, Mr. and them, fuck your damn daddy. He wasn't doing shit. Let me tell you what your daddy did. Blah, blah, blah. And then you had some folks sitting there like, oh yeah, your daddy wasn't shit. And you got and you know what? Mr. was like, he was upset, but he wasn't upset at his mama. He was actually glad his mama told him. Now he don't want to see a goddamn father. You know what I'm saying? You could call, hey, I want to know how he doing. I'm doing all right. What's up with you? All right, well, I gotta go though. You know what I'm saying? I got a baby on the way. I'm gonna go be with my wife. You know what I'm saying? They know they messed up, and I understand now. I understand what my auntie said. Baby, you can raise your son to be men. Tell him what he not supposed to be. Show him what men supposed to do, what not supposed to do. See, they think that women can't do shit. We're phenomenal. We kick ass moms. That's why I said, Moonflower, you ever become a mom, you're gonna be a fucking bomb ass mom.
Thank you.
You're gonna be a bomb ass mom. Thank you. Because you already prepared yourself that if you do become a mom, you ain't finna put up with shit. You don't care if it's a boy or girl. You're not gonna put up with shit, but your son's gonna protect you. When you don't cuddle your sons, they're gonna grow up protecting you like shit. My mom made me a fucking soldier. She made me figure the shit out.
Facts.
She made me figure the shit out.
And so two things I want to say is, are you a dusty?
Are you a dusty?
In the dust of others? You have an issue with what I'm saying on this channel? Hit the link. Hit the link. It's free for everyone.
That's right.
And then I also want to.
Because if there's a man that don't get up here, I'm gonna get off, Brother Moses, and I'll let you guys handle it. Hey, I'm gonna say this, your dumbass mammies. If you get on here, you think you're gonna say something to Moonflower, I'm coming back, and I'm gonna say some shit. You ain't gonna like it. And Dusties, y'all got the Dusties, honey. I don't want to be choking and shit. I already got rid of my asthma. So I love y'all, and I'll talk to you guys later. Brother Moses, hit that, you know what I'm saying? Hit your knowledge, brother. Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you too, Chan John. Have a good rest of your day.
And bye, beautiful queen in the pink.
Bye, Tejan.
Bye, Tejan.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Brother Moses. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Brother Moses.
Merry New Year, Brother Moses.
And Merry New Year. My Eddie Murphy voice. Man, it's been an hour, so I did want to have at least one guy come up. I'm not Dusty.
We know that. We would love to hear your synopsis.
No synopsis. She said what needs to be said. I don't like to piggyback too much, but what would I be able to piggyback on after that in the first place? She goes hard. Moon.
Yes, sir.
We started an interview and you asked me quite a few questions. We were supposed to come back to like 4, but I got questions for you now.
Okay. What's your questions, Brother Moses?
What is divestment mean to you?
Divestment for me is just simply divesting from Black men, divesting from the dustiness and degenerate behavior. I'm not divested from Black women. I do still support Black women. I have certain Black men in my life who I support, who I still fuck with. But as far as right now, I'm not looking to make any more friends or any more connections with Black men. That is what divestment is for me.
Okay. That was pretty thorough, pretty straightforward. How do you know when you're speaking with a woman who is divested or in the process of divesting?
Well, first off, let's start off with the being in the process of divesting. When a woman is in the process of divesting, you can tell that she got one foot in the door, one foot out the door. Like, she does understand the issues that's going on with Black women and Black men. She understands that the danger that she faces for dealing with Black men. However, there's still like a lot of caping for Black men where when situations with the police happen, where situations where the full story isn't told happen, or just off the bat, off the rip, still trying to protect Black men, still trying to cape for Black men. Once a woman is fully divested, these police brutality cases don't really affect us as much as they used to. Yes, we can acknowledge, hey, that police officer was wrong. We talk about it within our household, within our family members and our friends. However, we're not going on social media posting about it. We're not coming on YouTube talking about it, because at the end of the day, now that it's Black men's fight. It's not Black women's fight anymore. We fight for the Black women who are victimized by the police and who are victimized by other men in the community. However, we're not really fighting for the rights of men or the protection of men, because as men, you can protect yourselves. As men, that's what you're supposed to do. Women are not supposed to be affording protection to these men. Men are supposed to afford protection to the women and children of the community. So when you're talking to a woman and you're trying to figure out if she's divested or not, some of the signs you can look for is, one, is she really just not so trying to talk about the topic of police brutality when it comes to Black men? Is she going through the whole story? If she's saying, but But what did he do is the question, because a lot of times when we have these situations where black men harm black women, the first question is, what that bitch do? Obviously, that bitch did something to provoke him. So once you get out of that black male worship mentality, the first question that comes to mind whenever you see a police brutality situation with a black man is, what did he do? What's the full story? The same way they do to us, we do to them.
I just want to understand why this person down in the chat talk about, can we get some white, do we have any white women up here to verify that white men has no flaws? See, this is what we're talking about with that remedial mindset. You didn't even understand one thing that this woman said when she talked about her personal journey with divestment. She said that she's divesting with from degeneracy and all the craziness and stuff that she sees in the community that she doesn't like. And it's her own personal choice that she doesn't want to deal with black men. But that doesn't necessarily mean that white men don't have any flaws.
Exactly. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that I'm going to white men, because divestment, you can go to Asian men, you can go to Hispanic men. And then on top of that, we do acknowledge that all men have flaws. However, when it comes to these cases, these situations, they are not the majority. You're talking about a minority of white men who choose to, like the guy at the bottom front line, say, smoke a divester and her kids.
Like, this
That is
is
not
hella
the
crazy
majority.
that we can have a whole conversation that has to deal with black men, black women, and black community, and you have one little troll mouth come up here and talk about white women. Yo, like, if you want to talk to white women, there's many white women panels that you can go speak on.
Exactly. It's always blame the white man, blame the white man. When are we gonna stop blaming the white man and put this accountability where it belongs, and that's with black men? Until the majority of these quote unquote good black men make these Pookie and Ray Rays that y'all like to call them uncomfortable in the community, things like this won't change. And you have to understand that, one, y'all try to differentiate yourselves from the Pookie and Ray Rays and call yourself educated lames. However, the educated lames are just as bad. You have these, pretty much every case I've gone through have been affluent men who have good jobs, who give back to the community, and still drill their women and children. Like the last stream I did, where old boy drilled his 10-month-old daughter in the process of assaulting her. And like, what even goes through your mind to put your area inside a 10-month-old's area and then smack her in the head because she's crying from the pain? And then you let your child lay there for a whole hour while you slide in the DMs of other women, and before you even call the police. You nakers are sick and fucking demented, and I don't have sympathy for any of y'all.
That story was heartbreaking when you told it.
It
Yes,
is
it was. When
heartbreaking.
I first saw that video, I was in my room goddamn crying. I said, now this is something that I need
Now,
to
here's
talk
the thing,
about.
brother Moses. You being a stand-up man, and you are a black man, with all the stories that you hear and all the statistics and all the reports and truths going out, do you actually think it's really wise for black women, if you do care about black women in that way, do you actually think it's wise for black women right now, or to really be associating with the collective of black men in a relationship aspect? Or do you think that we need to have our guards up? And I think you have children too, right?
I do.
Okay, so how do you feel?
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell a woman what is wise for her to make in her life, or the women. I do support divest 100%. Patreon, super chats, conversations, whatever I can do to support, like Cynthia G, Nyla says, Taz exclusives. I haven't reached out into like the broader communities, like the Yvette Carnels or the um, who else has another big broad platform like that. I haven't like been vocal on, like, let's say, a Roland Martin, to where the message starts to move through the middle class and all of that. But I do support those who are pushing the information today. I do believe in the separation of state for black men. I believe in the separation of the state of the black relationship. Um, the wise thing would be for men to get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? As the coddling commences and as the excuses that have just been built into us because of what they call conditioning. Some people blame that, oh, we're conditioned. But that conditioning has allowed us to create some fucked up narratives about ourselves. One of them being, how many times did we march or protest because a Black man got killed? Those movements were predominantly pushed because of Black women. I would have called them mammies. I would have said, stop putting that shit on the screen because it makes Black men look weak. Like, all we get is this narrative of Black men being gunned down in the streets of shit. That shit was in the 90s. They brought it into the 2000s and going to the United Nations with it. And they go on to China sends messages to the UN. Russia sends messages to the UN about America. Iraq sent messages to the UN about the militarization of the police and how they're treating Black people and unequal rights and such. I mean, so you have whole other countries of men looking at just the Black man inside of America, a microcosm, but, you know, just looking at us, just 20 million of us maybe, as the target, an easy kill, a joke. We're the laugh in the movie. And so a way that I think we will be strengthened as Black men and the Black community by an honest divestment movement, or divesting becoming more of a conscious decision that women are choosing to make. I think the sooner we do that, the sooner we begin to benefit from it. And like always, I use the points. I don't ever get to elaborate on them, but like the education statistics and the moving up in the Fortune 500 companies. And I would say all of that despite being the single mothers, but that there was courage, that there was still the courage to push ourselves forward. I don't know.
I mean, I know, brother, and I appreciate your honesty, brother Moses, because I know this is kind of like a touchy situation for you, and I just appreciate you being honest, because you are a Black man who is married to a Black wife. You live in the action of Black love, and you have children. But to just to speak logically about the situation, about maybe at this particular time, Black men really just need to worry about their situation and getting themselves out, and then let the women worry about them, and then we can come back to it. I just appreciate that honesty.
Okay.
So before I get ready to go to my orientation, what you about to say, Brother Moses?
Oh, I just wanted to finish up.
Okay, go ahead.
The courage of the Black woman is what's needed. And I find that in the divestment movement, you are encouraging each other in ways that the Black man has never been able to encourage himself. So, yeah, it's not wise. If I could, it's not wise for the Black woman to find herself in that rat hole of a relationship and not know that there are other options, not know that there are other spaces where women are also been there, done that, and are finding ways to move forward in strength together. So Happy New Year. I did want to come up and drop at least one gem at the 1 hour mark. And I appreciate you for having me up, Mo.
Of course, Brother Moses, you can come on my panel anytime.
Okay.
Thanks, Brother Moses.
But before I get ready to leave to go for orientation, this is going to be the last story I covered for now before I come back later on when I get back off. So this happened April 6th of 2021. Well, that's when it was reported by this by the Seattle Times. So it says carnage at New York girl's ninth birthday party claims her family. So New York, a man attending his daughter's ninth birthday party in Brooklyn on Monday night turned the joyful celebration into a horrific scene where he shot and drilled her mother and two sisters, the police said. The man, Joseph McCrimmon, then left the girl inside the fourth floor apartment in a public housing project in Brownsville and shot himself in the head on a nearby sidewalk, police said. The final act was captured by a security camera. Um, the frightened girl called 911 about 11:15 p.m. and told police that her father was coming to her party, but he didn't bring presents. Chief of Detectives James Essing said Tuesday at a news conference at police headquarters. Investigators were still working to determine a motive for the killings on Tuesday and had interviewed family members, Essex said. McCrimmon and the girl's mother had a 20-year romantic relationship, which Essex described as very rocky. We know he left in an agitated state to meet her, he said. Still, the police have not received other domestic violence complaints or 911 calls about the pair, he said. The police identified the girl's mother as Rashida Barzi, 45, and her sisters as Soli Spears, 20, and Chloe Spears, 16. They were all shot in the head. The girl, whom police said was 8 or 9, was not injured. Officers found McCrimmon, a 46-year-old former felon whose name was also given as McCrimmon's, with a wound to the head. Police found the gun in the apartment and one next to his body. The city police commissioner, Dermont F. Shea, said he had watched body camera footage recorded by the officers who responded to the 911 call. It would tear your heart out to see the young girl from that crime, he said. Barze was an administrative manager for the city's public hospital system, according to her LinkedIn page. Her oldest daughter, Soli Spears, was a student in Birch College. A neighbor, Maureen Dot 14, said that she didn't hear gunshots the night of the shooting. She also said she was not familiar with the girl and her family and that she was shocked by the violence. There are some shootings that go on in the area, but nothing happens this big in this building before, she said. McCrimmon was convicted of first-degree manslaughter in 1995 after Hempstead police said he shot a sanitation worker in the back on Halloween 2 years earlier. The victim, Eugene Grant Jr., 28, had just broken up a street fight involving McCrimmon's nephew. He left behind 5 children, according to Newsday. McCrimmon, who was 18 at the time of the shooting, claimed that the gun fell out of his pocket and went off while the victim was searching for it, according to court documents. McCrimmon was incarcerated March 1995, according to the state corrections record. He was granted conditional release September 2000, but sent back to prison for unspecified violation in February 2003. State records show McCrimmon was released from Sing Sing Correctional Facility months later in August 2003 after serving his sentence. In 2013, McCrimmon was sentenced to 5 years in prison after pleading guilty to robbing a bank in the Hudson Valley, court papers say. He later denied committing the crime and convinced an appeals court to reduce his sentence. In a pre-sentencing memo, federal prosecutors noted that he did not accept responsibility for neither the robbery or the killing and said that he was an unlikely candidate for rehabilitation. The killings on Monday night came 3 years after another murder-suicide in Brownsville. In that case, 27-year-old man with a history of violence and psychiatric issues shot and killed his infant daughter, his brother, and his stepfather. His mother discovered the carnage after she returned from an outing at the casino. So this here, he left his daughter to see this violence, and then he took himself out. He then killed the mother of the daughter and the 2 other daughters. So as we see in this case, this man here is a violent man. He has a crime record dating all the way back to 1995 when he was 18 years old. And they said that this relationship between him and the victim had went on for 20 years, but it was very rocky. And so when we see we see this, we understand that most Black women do not report their abuse at the hands of Black men in fear of making the community look bad, in fear of ostracization from the community, in fear of being labeled a snitch, in fear of retaliation. Every one case that a Black woman reports of abuse at the hands of a Black man, 15 others go unreported due to race loyalty. So when we see this, we do understand that 9 times out of 10, he had been putting his hands on this woman, or at least violating her or abusing her in some type of way, whether it be mental, physical, or psychological, and she never reported it. And which she should, as the court said that he was not a likely candidate for rehabilitation. What they should have done was kept his ass in jail.
The funny thing about it is, I remember this story. That man was the whole reason why he one of the alleged reasons why that he did that is because he was mad that she didn't want to be with him anymore. So it was a sense of control thing. He'd been with her for 20 plus years. He'd been with her since she was young. He had a child with her, and he thought that she was his, like as property. And when she no longer wanted to be with him anymore, he didn't have no he couldn't get a handle on any of her resources or anything of that sort. Then he decided that he wanted to take her out, and in the process he took out her siblings, due to the simple fact they know who he is. They have a well history of who he is and how he gets down, and he took them out in the process. But see, just think about it like this: him killing her, killing the siblings, leaving his daughter stranded, and then because he doesn't want to take the responsibility or the consequences of being a murderer, he would rather kill himself than to actually go to prison. And I'll just say as a last final word that what you said to Moon earlier about how Black men do some Black men do benefit from a white patriarchy is absolutely 100% correct, because this right there was a sign of that. Like, there is a big lane for you to be the criminal, the degenerates, the derelicts, the big bag boogie monster Black men, and white patriarchy and white supremacy. There's a big lane for that, and they will hold you down wholeheartedly if you go that route. If you go that route, they will hold you down. They will defend you, back you. Look how many times he got out of prison. How he get away with manslaughter, saying that it accidentally shot out. He know damn well he shot that man in the back for whatever situation. And the robberies and stuff like that, he knew that he was a part of it. But that because he, under white patriarchy, he was able to slip through and get back out and be able to cause this type of havoc and stuff. So, like, if it's a lane for nakers to be nakers in this society, but if you don't want to go that route and you want to go the harder way to be a decent fellow man, then just do the work.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of these men don't want to do. They don't want to do the right. They're content with being degenerate. And that's why these niggas gotta go, fam. They gotta go. We gotta stop having sex with them. We gotta stop being in relationships with them. We gotta stop entertaining them. And I mean, if we having a conversation of abort them, shit, abort their ass.
Absolutely. I mean, like, at the end of the day, it's a woman will decide whatever they want to do. And I'm going to let women decide whatever they want to do. If you want to continue to date Black men, I fully support it. And if you don't, I fully support it. And if you, jumping back and forth across the fence, I truly support it. But now that you have all this information, now that you're more aware about what's really going on, this is your chance and your opportunity to make a logical decision for your life. And that's all that matters.
Facts. And Frontline, if you got such a problem with what I say, you can hit the link when I get back on the panel later on tonight. Panel is free for everybody. You got pushback, you got something you want to say, you got something you disagree with, then hit the link instead of just bussy popping all in the comment section.
Well, things like this is going to always push people's buttons, because they're going to come to the emotional standpoint of not all and what they want to see. And when they have their type of mentality of what they want to see, then any type of facts or truth and proofs that you bring to the table, that they're not going to accept it. It's just a waste of time, a waste of breath. I mean, it's 2022. I'm over explaining any type of sense or logic to people. If you get it, you get it. You don't, you don't. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and that's why I invited him to hit the panel because I know he's not gonna do it. I know this. All he want to do is bussy pop in the comment section. I know he's not gonna hit the link because it deep down in your heart of hearts, you know all this shit is correct. You just in denial. You just a mammy. You're a mammy too. You're a mammy for other black men, and you know what they look like? Suspect.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a problem. You have black men, you have men or black men who are mammies for knackers, right? They got every excuse and rescue under the book for them. Like it was the big bad white man that you didn't see him, but he was in the corner and he had a visible cloak on that made that black man do that. Like they'll say anything to just have an excuse for some people who have done some horrible things that does not have no justification for it, and I'm done with the point of even trying to even let them see it or for them to understand that where I'm coming from for it. I really don't care. You don't get it, you don't get it.
Facts. Hey Tequila, how you doing, ma'am?
Hey, ladies. I'm getting my voice back.
Oh, you sound so much better. I'm so happy.
Yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to tell you guys Happy New Year's. Well, you ladies, Happy New Year's. And MJ, your picture is alluring. You look stunning.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You see, I told you, me and you got the same complexion because the other one was so light, and then somebody was like, "Oh, you must be light, MJ." I'm like, I'm not light. I don't know what y'all talking about. That's that lighting. Ain't nothing wrong with my light skinned sisters. I love y'all all, but I was like, I love my cocoa brown skin for real.
Wow, the dust has entered the panel. The dust has entered the panel. Dusty, you got something you want to say? Or you just gonna sit there on mute?
Hold on, Fat. Hold on, Fat. Nah, because I'm hearing double things on there, so I'm like, I don't know which.
You gotta turn off your YouTube.
Hello?
Yes.
Y'all got me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
So which book? And it's just be like you had no choice but to have feelings. Like after you like hearing y'all, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, we all messed up.
Nobody
You know,
said
it's
we, sir. Nobody
It's just
said we.
y'all.
well, all right, well, black men, since we
We didn't
saying
say
since.
all black men, sir.
But you know, a lot of y'all rhetoric it be to, you know, it if it's just black man, 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 you know what I'm saying? It's to you one word thing to the majority,
I
you
mean,
know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
I
Like
mean, do you have common sense? Because the majority does not mean all. It means the majority.
it's like this here, love, look, listen to me. Nah, I can't argue with. Well, you know, we can have a conversation, but you know, just keep it respectful, yo. Like,
I am being respectful. I asked,
all
do you
right,
have common sense? Did I
just
call you
keep,
out your name? I
just
asked,
keep it
did you have common
respectful.
sense? What do you want? Why you hop on the panel? Because you had all that pushback
Because
in the
it's
comment
like, all
section.
right, listen to
Now
me.
you trying to
So
be nice on the
listen to me.
panel. What is it you
So
really feel?
I've been listening. I jumped on on here by way of Dr. Inky. You know what I'm saying? Like the information that these guys was talking about, it was pretty decent. You know what I'm saying? I
We
kind of
got
like it. But when you this with the I've been on quarantine. I've been in the house not doing nothing, staying away from everybody. So I'm
good.
on I'm on I'm on here every day listening. So for the past 5 days, I'm hearing about killing black male babies.
Nobody has ever
Wait,
said
listen to me. Listen to me.
no, because you're out here spreading
Listen to me.
misinformation.
Nah,
Nobody
this
has
this this
ever
is this
said
is
kill
this
black
is
man,
what
baby.
if you go through every single video somewhere in that video is gonna, you know what I'm saying? But
But
back
it's
to what
not
I
though.
was saying.
But it's
Back
not.
to what I was saying, man.
Okay, but it's
I,
not
I
though.
got I gotta I gotta listen
And
to
now you want to
abort
jump on the
blackmail
camera
babies.
and
I
straight
gotta
up
listen
lie.
to divestment. I gotta listen to this whatever this shit about twerking. I gotta hear about Pandora and all this shit. All that is not beneficial to the black community
It's not
and
beneficial
us
to the
as
black
a
community
whole.
for black
It's
men to be
not.
killing
It's
black
Okay,
women
not.
but
the
let me
way that
ask
they
him something.
are.
Let me ask him something more
I
clout.
can go out my door right
Sir,
now and see a
sir,
bunch of ratchet women walking with
sir,
ratchet.
She has a
sir.
question, so
I
be
just have
quiet
a
while she asks
question.
you the question.
I just have a question. Okay. So since you think that, calling out things that need to be changed in the community is not productive, what would be your stance on what is productive for the community?
You can unmute yourself to answer the question.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know I was on mute. For number one, we could put parks back in our communities. These kids don't have nothing to do. They on social media all damn day. This TikTok, this damn Instagram, getting into all kind of madness.
I agree.
You know
Okay,
what I'm
what else,
saying?
sir?
We for number one, and then I'm speaking for the boys, the men.
I
Somebody
know
like
you're
me,
a male. I
listen,
would definitely think you would.
I fish, and I can build with my hands. You know what I'm saying? I train my three boys the same as I was raised. I was raised by what some women would say and what I call a role model of a man, a real black man. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that he come to find out years later my dad and my uncle and my aunt was not his, and this man loved them like they were his own. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
so
So
sir, you did that for
what?
your sons. How
Yes.
many how
Now
many so how many
every person I come in
hold on one
council
second.
with, my
How
light
many
gonna shine.
males?
Okay,
How,
sir, be quiet because she's
hold on.
asking you a question.
I just want to ask you another question. So you did that for your sons. That's great. How many men or young boys that are not your sons have you done that for?
Oh yeah, quite a few. Like when I do things, I include others. You know what
Things
I'm
like
saying?
what?
Because it's things that guys do, hunting,
Things like what?
fishing, you know what I'm saying? Things that grows manhood, that grows
Things
character,
like
plant.
what? Give an
I
example.
just
Things
said it.
like
I just
what?
said
Okay, so
hunting.
here's
We can
here's
go
my other
hunting,
question.
we can go fishing, we can go, oh, I
Okay,
fly
so here's my
kites
other
too.
question, sir.
I have a telescope. In certain parts of time of the
She has
Sir,
another
I have one
question.
more question, and I'm gonna let you
I
speak in
don't know
peace
why I
because
keep I
I
don't
apologize. I just wanted to ask this question before I lose my train of thought. So I'm sorry. So the things that you are labeling as being masculine, learning how to fish, learning how to hunt, learning how to set up a tent, learning how to create fire and things of that
that's
sort, right?
manhood. Yeah, that's
Right. So those
manhood.
are,
That's creating a bond.
you know what those are actually are? Those are survival tactics, right? Because
Okay.
I know how to do all those things too.
Okay.
So my thing is, what by having those skills, which are definitely needed, right? How does that actually help
That
the
builds character.
community?
That builds character.
It
That
does
How does
builds
it
help build
help the
character.
character, but
community?
That
how does
builds
it?
character.
But
That
She's
how
builds
asking
does
you
it
how
build
does it
character.
help the community,
character?
not an individual.
But I'm just
Well,
saying, like,
all right. If you had a lot of these kids, partaking in these kind of functions, like I'm from New Orleans, we have a big old lake. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about doing like a GoFundMe to get some of these little bitty skip boats, that I see these little white boys be out at the yacht club. They come out, they catch their little wins. You know what I'm saying? They things like that. You know, but it's a lot of things. It's just
but
we
sir,
need to
my
bring back
question
manhood
is how is, I mean, even those survival skills that are really good, that
that bring
all
character,
into, yeah, it brings
and that's
character.
going and that's going and that's going to take you along.
Bro, she keep
But
trying
that
to ask you
doesn't
a follow-up question.
necessarily, that wouldn't necessarily stop or prevent black women and children being drilled either. Those are survival tactics. If anything, if a man has the wrong type of mindset, by him knowing those survival tactics, he can get away with a lot of more drillings than that are being reported. Like, just for example, there was a report of this realtor who was a black man who looked at like a high value black man. He just got arrested as being a serial killer.
Yeah, I
And
seen that.
nobody knew, nobody thought anything of it. Like, he had wealth, he kept himself clean. He didn't fit the Pookie and Ray Ray narrative. He had no reason to be a serial killer, but he was
Well, it's
actually
one in every
caught as a
family, you know.
but this is what I'm trying to say. He had the same type of attributes of what you consider masculine in a man, but that still made him a degenerate when it came down to his heart and his mindset.
Yeah,
How
cause
is
you
that
we
going
don't know
to,
what that cat been through, how that cat was raised.
The thing
sir,
about it is, sir, what
sir,
I find very interesting about your commentary is one that you made sure
You
to
know what I'm
specify
saying?
that you're talking about black
We don't
boys.
know.
You made sure to specify you're talking about black boys and black men in a conversation about protecting black women and children. You decided to take this conversation and gear it to black boys and black men. That is your problem to handle, not ours. You are teaching these boys how to hunt and fish and everything and good things, and you're just teaching them how to gut these young black girls who are dying at the hands of black men. 4 black women and girls were killed every day in the year
See,
2020. So you are teaching these boys to be degenerate.
I just saw somebody your age on the phone, right?
Okay.
And
All I
listen to and she was on that what that is Instagram. So she's on there, and I'm just sitting there. I'm rolling up a doobie, waiting on her brother to come out. And this little girl, she's like, yeah, oh homie, woo 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 woo. He around the block, woo 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 woo, and showed her brothers, and in return, the brothers, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's we messed up on both sides, but it's like
No, it's just the
this has
black
not
men.
been
Bro.
this
It
kind
is
of
the
talk
black
is not
men.
beneficial
It
for
is
us,
the black men.
cause
Black
your
men
talk
decide
is
to
not
leave the
gonna
home
change.
with their children
you
and
How is
still
you
spend
really
time
changing
have
black
fending for
women though?
you
themselves.
still
Black
really
men
excuse me,
have
decide to
sir.
I'm
the
raising
mothers
men over
and
here though. I'm
E-
raising
Ex,
men over here,
for them.
excuse
but
me,
I'm
sir.
raising men. I'm
Excuse
not
No,
me, sir.
raising Pookie and Ray Ray.
but
I'm
you are
trying to
Listen,
raise
raising Pookie and Ray Ray.
engineers. I'm
listen.
trying
No,
to
you're
raise
not.
Pookie
No,
and
you're
Ray
engineers
not.
over
Rays,
here.
No, you
That's
still
what
engineers,
I'm doing. So
professional
it's
men,
like,
they all have the same pathology. They
this is
all
what
have
I'm
the
trying
same
to
one.
let this is what
See,
I'm
let me
trying to
tell you
get
one
to
thing
him.
because it's a lot of religious men who do the same thing, who kill their wives, cheat on their wives. I mean, it does not matter.
man, I don't hear about
No,
that in New
listen, listen,
Orleans, and I'm
listen.
over 40, love. You can
That
hit me
does
Okay,
with
not
that.
mean
that
that it
does not
does not
mean anything.
occur.
And it really does. And here's the thing, sir. At this
Y'all
point,
talking
no,
about one
sir,
out of
please
one
don't cut me
mil.
off.
No, it's
Please
not
don't
one
cut me
out of
off.
1 million. This statistics is very high for black women and girls to be murdered by men that look exactly like you. And for you to say just because you didn't hear about it doesn't mean it means it didn't happen. You are very ignorant. Ignorant.
Say
No, you need to
these little
shut
girl,
your mouth
these
and you
little
need to
girl.
learn something because today is
First
not
of all, I'm
the day.
not a little
Today is
girl.
not it.
I'm a grown woman with children,
Me
not
too.
a little girl.
Me too. A grown woman.
I'm saying,
And
you
the
know what I'm
rhetoric
saying, but
that
when
you
women are
spit
killing
with
men
those
out
little
here
girls,
these days too.
I don't. What we're not
Okay,
gonna do is
So
sit
we
here
here's
and
the
talk
thing.
we
about
Here's
killing.
the
never
Women are
said
thing.
not
that.
killing at
Did
the
we
race
ever
men
say
are.
that
Period.
women are not out there killing people? We just know by the stats that it is
Oh, the
not
stats.
as high and
What's
or
wrong? What's
as
your issue with the
frequent
stats, big dog?
as
What's your issue
men.
with the stats?
It's like all right. You could say the stats will be like, well, this is happening. How y'all say per right now? I'm just use life experience. What you are
Hey, fam, we don't go based off of anecdotal
I'm just
evidence.
saying what you are
I,
saying is
I,
stat.
I don't care about your life experiences at all. We're not going based off your anecdotal
Yeah, we
evidence
can't
at
go
all.
just based off of your life experiences.
We're
We're
going
going
off the
off of
stats. We're going off
pure,
the CDC. We're going off the
yes.
news. We're going off psychology today.
That's
All
that
these
one
people are
bad apple
reporting the
What
then.
was
exact
here's
same
the
thing.
That
So
is
are
thing.
you
not a
saying
one
all
Here's
these
the
bad
people
apple
thing.
these are
source.
lying?
Here's the thing. We need a reset. That's just what it is. We need a reset. The way that this culture is geared to black women and how we treat black women and what
You
we
right,
think of
man.
them. We
It's
need a
horrible.
reset. We need a reset
You right.
because it's a lot of men who just don't care, who don't care to really get to see what's really going on. They don't care. So
So that's
with that
why
being said, we just need a reset, and that's why people are saying selective breeding. That's why people are saying abort. Now, no one. Now let me. Now, before you cut me off, sir, no one has ever pushed killing black male babies. If it's a black male that's already alive, why would they kill or harm that baby? Why?
that's like
No
me
one
killing.
ever said
That's like
that.
me ever thinking about doing something to my son. Are you crazy?
Y'all.
Yeah, like no one would. No one wants to hurt black male children. We don't want to hurt them. No one wants to
Y'all.
hurt
So
them. But what we are saying is we need to really selective breed. What's the point of bringing our oppressors? What's the point of bringing men that will grow up and kill us into existence if we have that power?
I just want to know, like, if he had daughters and we was providing this information for her so
My
she
daughter
can be
got a
more.
380.
be
Okay,
quiet,
good.
sir, because
So
this
right, so here
dusty
you
drill
go.
is
There you go,
about to be
right there.
over because I
You
gotta go
have
to work. So
your
we're done
daughter has a
talking.
380. You know that it's danger out there. You know that it's
Yes, ma'am.
scumbags out there that will
It's
hurt her and harm her. So why give so much pushback for the information that we're putting out there? For, let's say, for instance, there are daughters out there who don't have a father who be like, yo, you better go get that
because
380.
Okay, sir, the dust drill is over. I have to go to work, but we'll be back around 9, 10 p.m. And you can come back then to finish your conversation. But at this point, the dust drill is over. I have to go to work. So I will talk to y'all later.
Bye, Moon.
All right, bye. Love you,
And I'm going
ladies.
to end the broadcast because I'm not going to leave y'all up here with no fucking
Love
guests
you,
at
lady.
all. Love
Bye
y'all too.
bye.
See y'all later.